after we did the match yesterday, and I was joking about my dog, and I owe an apology to my dog.
You're telling stories?
I was telling stories. I was telling bad stories about not loving my dog enough, which I do, so I owe my dog a big apology.
You were just saying you didn't love him because you thought it sounded cool.
Bart's an animal hater. Please send all emails to Bart, animal hater.
Welcome to Dragon Plus. Now I know we are live.
Oh.
Welcome to Dragon Plus live stream, where we discuss breakups, animal fleas, and tapeworms. Yeah. But that was all off the air.
All parasites.
Oh, well played.
Thank you.
That's well done.
We know our parasites around here.
And we also discuss content heading into each issue of Dragon Plus and take, sometimes, a more visual look at the design, the development, and the running of your D&D game content. It's been too long since we've talked about the visual makings of the game, and so we invited Sean Wood and Kate Irwin to join us again.
Where's my camera?
Dude, they got the close-up here.
That's your camera right there. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yes.
What?
We're going to do it live. We're doing it live. So that's our feedback monitor. So when we put up the images from Ghosts of Saltmarsh, which is what we'll be doing a little bit later today, you'll see what we're talking about right up there.
Good.
Kate Irwin, Senior Art Director for Dungeons & Dragons. Very important question for you, because I have not made my selection yet.
Oh.
Hester Sunshine, Sebastian Gray, or Garo Sparrow? Who is going to win this season of Project Runway?
Do you really need to ask me that?
I'm curious as to your pick.
It's Sebastian. I chose him the very first week, and I'm sticking with him.
All my picks were immediately eliminated. Sean, you are not a Project Runway?
Not since like the first 3 seasons back in the day.
I think
it's back on Bravo now.
Is it better? Is Tim Gunn back?
No.
I'm out.
No, Tim Gunn hasn't been there. I mean, has been there all along.
Oh.
But now that it's on Bravo, it's Christian Siriano now.
And he does a very good job.
Yep.
Okay.
So this is my question for Sean Wood, concept illustrator for Dungeons & Dragons, because I think the names lend themselves so well. What character classes would someone called Hester Sunshine, Sebastian Gray, and Garo Sparrow be?
Paladin, Wizard,
Garo Sparrow?
That sounds like a good druid name. I'd go with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. So if one of those fine designers wins, now we'll know. I have to make my pick.
Yes, you do.
Completely based off of just like random name stuff.
Yes, as always.
Because that's super good.
They all have pretty good names this time.
Yeah, I think they sounded like a Dungeons & Dragons party to me. Hester Sunshine, she would be a good paladin, like a paladin, a Palor, or something like that. Sebastian Gray, maybe a wizard or a rogue.
They have the creative first name and the I don't know what to do with the last name action, which is very common.
Well, hence Garo Sparrow.
Yeah, Sunshine, Gray, and Borrow.
Well, what are we really talking about today? We wanted to take a visual look at some of the art, including some of the sketches and concept pieces that went into Ghosts of Saltmarsh. It released back in May 21, combining some of the most popular classic adventures. This is off the top of my head, definitely not reading from a sheet. From the first edition of Dungeons & Dragons, including the Classic U series, and some of the best nautical adventures from Dungeon Magazine, including Salvage Operation, Isle of the Abbey, Tamarant's Fate, and The Styes. So we thought we would take a look at some of those pieces, kind of talk through the makings of those. We also have coming out real soon for, at least initially for Target, is the D&D Essentials Kit, June 21st and September 3rd, everywhere.
All that stuff
Lots
in
of
there.
good stuff in there.
Yes, lots of good stuff. And Sean had also done a lot of the interior design work along with Richard Witters as well.
Yep, so, yep. If you want to see lots of sketches from me and Witters, that's in the Essentials Kit.
It was fun to announce that at D&D Live. It wasn't just Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus. We also talked about the Essentials Kit, too. And what else do we have going on? Jeremy Crawford will be back next week when we do a bit more of Design Plus. We've been calling his segment every other week. And we were rolling into discussion from yesterday for Pelham's hot mess. Our first hot mess. You had to yell it out whenever we said hot mess.
Hot mess. Are you guys like hurting for content?
It was a good opportunity for us to start playing a little board game, some one-offs, things like that. So we wanted to have our inaugural Dungeon Mayhem Tournament of Champions. And
That sounds pretty good.
It was good because I was the winner.
So are you guys going to do another monster tournament? Because I am the reigning champion of that, and I felt bad that you never.
You got the belt, right?
I got a belt and a hat.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought we lost the hat because I thought Kate made the hat.
I still have the hat. It's on my desk.
Yes.
I just, just saying.
So, yes, last year we did have Mordekainen's Mayhem. I think that was I don't know if that was an annual event, but it was.
Well, we got a lot of monsters in the backlog we can go back to.
Yes, we can definitely do that.
All right.
We'll have we might do a one-off.
Volo's guide. We can.
To be the champion, you got to beat the champion thing.
That's right.
Someone will come gunning for you. So I inherited your championship belt for winning Dungeon Mayhem yesterday.
I don't think I was contacted about that.
It's an exact duplicate of the same belt that you have. I don't know how you lost yours, but
that's a good point.
Yes, and as part of it, I was remiss. I owe an apology to my beloved dog, Puppy. I was complaining about he likes to barf all over the place everywhere.
You have a puppy?
No.
His name is Puppy.
His name is Puppy. We adopted him from the shelter when he was, I think, 9 years old already. He already had the white old man dog beard, which is adorable. And he came with the name Puppy. We're like, well, he's 9. We can't rename him. So he's going to be Puppy forever. And he's very barfy, but he's still a nice dog.
That's good.
We had I think, 3 distinct requirements. He had to be okay being home alone all day. He had to not attack kitty cats because we had a kitty cat, and he had to not attack our small child because we also had a small child.
And you still have the cat and the
yes,
small
you checked
child.
all those boxes.
Yes.
So I owe Puppy, if you're watching, I owe you an apology for bad-mouthing you yesterday. And I know we had talked, at some point we are going to do a future Dragon Plus live stream called Dungeons and Doggies.
Oh, right.
Where we're going to bring in, those that are willing to participate in the office are going to bring in their dogs. I just have to figure out in what capacity. Are we going to stat them up as far as what they would be in a D&D game or as a monster? I have to figure out the reason to have a dog here in the studio.
And especially since 3 of the dogs are kind of the same, the stats might be too similar.
A party of all.
One, it could be like, a magic user. And then, we talk about Richie.
Sean can figure it out.
Yes.
Yeah.
But my 2 are the same as Richie's.
That's fine. Good. Humans all look alike.
From a dog's perspective, I imagine.
I think they look very different.
They could all be doppelgangers.
Oh yeah. Maybe it's just maybe you have one dog. You didn't realize that it's a doppelganger. Yeah.
Something like that.
I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
So let's jump into it. We wanted to take a look at some of the pieces of art from Ghost of Saltmarsh first. Pelham has a big old list of things. We're just going to start with the cover to kick things off here because it's such a beautiful piece. So, so now the camera. I also like doing these art episodes because then the camera is off my weird face and folks can instead.
Yeah.
It's probably pretty good.
Okay, so I'm having some issues with your mic. I'm going to take us to a quick break.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
All right, microphone issue. Boom. Oh, we're back. We're back. It was, we were saying it was a hot mess yesterday. It's a hotter mess today. But Pelham has fixed the microphone, so.
Yay, Pelham.
Thanks to Pelham.
Good job.
And thank you for your patience for tuning in. Yes, we are working on, we've got 2 sweepstake raffles that we do each episode, giving away various prizes. So the last couple of weeks we've been giving away extra swag bags from D&D Live because we've got some surplus material. This week, in addition to those, and I've been meaning to do this for a while, I got these from the free table. Somebody put out a DeWalt drill and what's the other version? The hammer press thing? Mm-hmm. Without the battery packs.
Oh.
But still, the drill and the press.
That's pretty good. Did it work?
I have no idea. I hope they do.
Because there's no battery.
Yeah.
Well, I'll get the battery. But there's a wide variety of interesting things that hit our free table. And so in addition to the D&D swag, I'll collect the material from the free table and our 2 winners today.
Package it up, send it off.
Of stuff. No perishable food, but it's usually like a weird variety of magic cards and a wide variety.
There's a bunch of Warhammer
DVDs.
stuff up there earlier.
Yes.
The funny thing is, I was looking at my stack of books next to my bed, and I was like, I've already read a bunch of these. I should take them in for the free table. But I didn't.
Could be part of the raffle prizes. So yes, the raffle prizes will include a wide variety of surprises from the Wizards of the Coast, 3rd floor free table, whatever they may be. I've seen some strange things up there.
There have been safety razors.
Birth
control pills. Yeah, there have been a few really weird things.
I have seen the lightly used litter box at one point that was put out.
Yes.
I remember that.
Yes.
And every so often it's like somebody's half Chinese food that they're like, well, somebody will eat this, and they'll put it out there.
Somebody does.
So we'll editorialize some of the items, but as far as the goodies, we'll take those. Yeah.
They'll be the goodies, not the baddies.
Yes. So on that note, going back to the cover image for Ghosts of Saltmarsh here. So this was the cover from, I'm never going to pronounce Greg's first name.
Yeah, Shauna just calls him Greg.
Greg.
Instead of Gregor.
You said it right earlier.
It's Grzegorz. Grzegorz Rutkowski.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
This is the problem when we're only dealing with artists over email, though, is that in my head I'll say their name a certain way, but it might be totally different than the way that they actually say their own name. So.
Yeah.
But Shauna Narciso commissioned that piece of art, and it's absolutely beautiful.
And I think we've told this story before, but if we switch over to the alt cover image, the image of the Sahuagin there is what the people, the adventurers in the boat are actually seeing.
How they're experiencing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought I wanted to start with there, and we'll take it from there. But then we go into the interior of the book, and we've got Entering Saltmarsh from Mr. Boras?
Zoltan Boras.
Oh,
yeah. I love this piece. So it's like the opening scene. You're about to start your adventures.
So I wanted to ask when you're commissioning pieces, and the art, I pulled the art description here, and it says, "For adventurers," because I like that some things are, in the art description, some of the words are capitalized.
They
are.
Like
special call-outs for?
So when we're writing art descriptions, there are certain things that are key to the description.
Yeah.
And so Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford, usually the ones who are writing our art descriptions, very often are, they will capitalize the key things. So if you're somebody who doesn't care for reading so much, you can skim through, and if you just look at the all cap words,
yes,
you get an idea for what are the key things that we're going to be like, well, you did a group of monsters, not a group of adventurers.
Right.
So.
So the art description for entering Saltmarsh was 4 adventurers. They're arriving at the gate of Saltmarsh, the small fishing town with simple stone and wood buildings. And it's sort of called out as an English seaside village look.
Yes.
The town is near a cliff overlooking the sea. A modestly armored guard, all capitalized, at the gate holds up her
Don't forget
hand,
the guard.
asking the adventurers to stop. Storm clouds gather overhead. So when you're generating art descriptions like that, is that coming from some of the adventure designers, from writers, from yourself? Are you translating them to get those to the various artists?
So I think most often they originate with the writer,
Mm-hmm.
and then they go through the lead of the book, which in this case was Kate Welch. It was her first lead on a book. So, and Mike Merles was kind of helping show her the ropes. So in this case, there were a lot of cooks in the kitchen, but I think it turned out well.
Is that a nautical term, showing somebody the ropes?
Probably.
Like here are the ropes to the various parts of the ship.
Like a theater thing, but it could be,
Oh.
could be either way.
If anyone knows, let us know in chat.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really have a giant database of information.
Right in front of us right now.
Like my
Yeah, I suppose.
In the
Stay out of me, I suppose.
Is it sailing?
According to Cora, yeah.
Ah, all right. So showing some of the rope fits right in. We planned that.
I
Of
didn't even
course.
know ships had ropes.
No, it's just all wood and pegs. It's all compiled.
Oars,
together.
right?
Yeah, exactly. When an art order comes in with, like, say, 4 adventurers, is it preferred to sort of detail them fully? Is it to sort of tell me about my character moment? Or is it best to kick it over to the artist to sometimes say,
We like
"Oh,
to give them a kind of a basic description. Like we want them to fill in the blanks, but we will usually tell them the race, class, if it's important, what kind of armor they're wearing,
Yeah.
giving those basic descriptions, the sex, age, those sort of things, so that we have diversity in the book. Because that's one of the things that's really important to us, diversity in fantasy races and in real world races and ages, and sometimes even body types. We'll throw some things in like that because it's not something that's done on purpose. But if you don't spell it out, a lot of times we'll just get a bunch of white guys who are 40 years old. And as much as I love you guys,
I was gonna say.
yeah,
I know a
We
white
do
guy
make
who's
up a large
40-something-year-old.
yeah. Yeah, it's just kind of the automatic shorthand that comes out. So we just always try to spell it out, and that way we get a nice mix.
So if there's multiple illustrations that are calling for adventurers, is it the same adventurers throughout the book, or like you said, do you try to
Usually
diversify
not.
who they are for that reason?
It's usually not the same adventurers, simply because, unless Sean has done some work ahead of time showing us what those adventurers look like, and there's a reason that we want to use those same adventurers. But all the artists are getting the descriptions at the same time, so if they're all making up that middle-aged white woman wizard, they'll all do something different, and it won't end up looking like the same person anyway. So it's twofold. Multiple people can work on illustrations at the same time, and we get a lot of diversity within the book, which is awesome.
To give you an idea, how many illustrations do you commission at once for a book?
Between 40 and 80. So there's a lot of variation that can happen there, even with a great
All at
piece
once.
of concept art.
A not insignificant number.
Yeah.
Let's jump ahead. I was going to show Pirate Fight because we've got a finished version and we've got the sketch version. So if we start with the sketch version, and I pulled this, hopefully it's all right to have pulled this from our
No, stop!
our art database. We've spoiled the next book is Ghosts of Saltmarsh. So this is so when a piece comes in, I'm not familiar with how the process works. Do artists tend to typically give you a couple of different sketch versions, and you kind of help direct the composition, the angles that you prefer to see more of?
Yep. In this case, so different artists work differently, and we try to accommodate how they work. Some people send in roughs before they send in a tighter sketch, and some people send in a couple sketches, and some artists are like, I really think this is the way to go, and they'll only send in one sketch. In this case, Siddharth Chaturvedi sent in these 2 sketches, and we decided to go with the version on the right, and
there we go.
And so then that's the final piece that came through. There are a lot of things that we take into consideration when we make a decision on which one. It can be that I think in this case it just felt more interesting and active, the one on the right, than the one on the left. And if you'd only sent in the one on the left, it would have been fine, right? But I just feel like it's much more engaging and entertaining, and the lighting is so cool on the one on the right. So it was kind of a no-brainer to go with that one.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's,
he does really beautiful work.
That's not your typical Disney cruise.
No.
Welcome aboard.
I don't know. Have you read the news lately? Some of those cruise ships are crazy.
Oh.
They can be. Yeah. So I wanted to get a couple of pieces that had a little sketch that went into the final design, but then there's another part of the process, which is sort of the concepting of things that go into it. So how does that work? Where is that in the process?
It depends on the project and on the book. A lot of the stuff for Ghost of Saltmarsh was literally sitting down with Mike Merles long before we even started the book, and he was like, "We're going to do something, that's going to be water-based, ocean-based," and it started with, what does a wizard ship look like, or and I ended up drawing actually a lot of boats. I don't think we used any of them, but it's like, oh, what would a Knoll pirate ship do? Yeah, it doesn't mean it won't happen. Or like a Thayan ship, or all these other things that we have in canon. And then it moved down to different creatures and stuff like that. And then, as I'm working on that one, sometimes, the book actually starts to get compiled and written, and then there'll be a list of monsters. It's like, okay, these are the monsters we're going to bring back, or here are new ones that we're going to invent. And so it's just a big list that I kind of work through and design and do sketches, and then it's, you throw a bunch on the wall, and they like, I like this, I don't like that. And
literally on the wall.
Sometimes literally on the wall.
You walk by, you see them pinned up there.
Yep.
And I remember this one distinctly, so I'm tricking Pelham. I printed out the sheet, the run of show for Pelham, saying, here's the order.
And now you're just going all
throwing
over
it
the
out.
place.
Don't have to worry, here's the order of things. And now I'm just driving it.
There you go.
On the ground.
We've got, this was, I think, a big fan favorite, the Lokatha. We got the
oh, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So on the left, obviously, the concepting for it, and on the right, the finished version.
Yeah, that was fun. So when I did these guys, we were doing this, the Colanth? I can't. Colanth? Yeah. See,
it's as bad as artist names.
Yeah, these, I never got the names right on these. But anyway, I had to do a few different aquatic creatures, and so I wanted to make sure that they looked a lot different from, our mer people, our sea elves, our Swiggins. How do you say it? Sahuagin, I got it right. And so this one, he did exist already. And they were kind of friendly, neutral creatures, and their thing was that canonically they got along with other sea animals and stuff. And so I don't even remember what the original art looked like, but I decided that in this particular case we were going to try something different, and so kind of went with the catfish guy. That's kind of what it looks like in a way, but the idea being that he's both kind of cute, and if you were actually to approach him, they're quite large. I mean, that's just a regular sea lion, but the idea that your human head is very tiny compared to his giant fish head. So the idea being that it would be kind of a creepy feeling if you ever actually met one in person, But at the same time, he doesn't look dangerous, but
No,
could be dangerous. So it worked out pretty well, though.
It'd be like meeting a professional sports team mascot, right? Like,
Yes, very much so.
we're the same height.
That
but
could
you're-
swallow you.
Right. Yeah. But the Philly weirdo or whatever it is could. Because I remember seeing the concept piece on the wall forever, and I'm like, oh, riding the seahorse, that looks awesome.
Yeah, unfortunately, the seahorse didn't make it in the book, but people really liked it, so use it.
I also
Because it's a sea
appreciate.
unicorn.
It is.
See the horn?
See that? Yeah.
Okay.
I also
We're good.
appreciate his the dad bod of the.
I know. Artists always put a little of themselves in their art.
I was gonna say I see myself in that art with Puppy. That's me and Puppy standing next to each other. So yeah, I also the names we were laughing this morning. The piece came in. It was originally titled by you, Fish Dude and Seal.
Yeah, I gave up on getting the names
Yeah.
confused because I had at the time I got the concept list. There were like just a ton of random weird fish names. And I'm like, I'm not.
They don't mean anything.
They don't
to
mean
me.
anything.
How am I going
so.
to? Yeah, but then when they come to me and I'm looking to see if Sean really did turn things into me when he's doing the final work,
I don't remember to rename
he's
the
like,
file.
I don't know, it was like Cove something, I think, or yeah.
And Fish Dude with Seal would be a much better descriptor.
And like I said, I would totally watch a show, a cartoon called Fish Dude and Seal, which would be awesome.
Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Sahuagin. Now I'm really jumping all over the place. We have, and I don't know how much of this is used, but we do. Oh, there we go. We've got the sort of the size chart for there we go for the Sahuagin.
Oh yeah.
So is this? I don't know. I don't know if this makes it into finished products, or
No.
is this just referential for?
This is for us. So the chapter opener that was done by Lake Hurwitz with the Sahuagin lead guy. I can't remember what that name is, but so he's sitting on the throne, and then
yeah.
he has some smaller Sahuagins near him.
We have that in the order. It's not the altar of Sekala. Oh no, there we go.
Yeah.
It's
So we
the throne
so
room by Lake Hurwitz.
Yeah, so that reference showing the scale of them, we'll send that to the artist so that he can kind of get a feel for that. We also use it when we're making minis so that the minis sizing is correct, and it's an internal resource more than something that shows up in the books, but
Super cool.
it's super
though.
helpful.
And these were, I believe, the Sahuagin. Oh yeah, Pelham, you're on. You're on.
He knows
the
what he's
spot.
doing.
Yeah, I pulled the images from the Monster Manual, which you
Yeah.
put right there. And one of the reasons I wanted to pull them is this is how the Sahuagin were depicted in the Monster Manual, which is, now been out for a few years. So when a book like Ghosts of Saltmarsh comes out, are these utterly locked in place? Is there sort of, a few years have passed, there's a little leeway to maybe reimagine what some of the creatures looks like? Or, what sort of elasticity is there in sort of a design?
There's a little bit of elasticity. We want all of the monsters that show up in the Monster Manual to still be correct. We don't want to go so far away, but like when we redid the giants in Storm King's Thunder, we just kind of pushed them a little bit, but the ones from the Monster Manual are still correct. So that's where Sean and Richard get to kind of thread the needle a little bit. Let's make it cooler, let's make it more interesting, give us more diversity, but not make what we did in the core books wrong.
We don't delegitimize anything, but especially if there's story prompts that allow for differentiation or anything like that, we'll hang on to it.
And for something like Ghosts of Saltmarsh, it might be a different type of Sahuagin, or there's certainly
Right.
different types of lizard
Right.
folk that appear.
Yeah.
Yep.
I picked one, and I don't know if this is correct or not. One of the other pieces that you worked on, Sean, was the scum.
Yeah.
And if we've got a concept and so the
think I saw that
so the version on the right,
Yeah.
that's a third edition
Right.
Scum. And I don't know if that was a completely different monster entirely, or that was just a different edition version of that monster, and you wanted to completely reconceptualize it.
Okay, so a lot of it, I don't know where you guys pulled that image from, and you might be right. It might be part of it, but so the idea of Scum is basically an aboleth will enslave you, right, and you become under the control of the aboleth. And the longer you're enslaved, you slowly transform, and as it was canonically written, basically, you'd get like a white, I think, slime on you or whatever. You basically kind of become a more aboleth-like in a way. So there you have a picture of what looks like, a creature that's probably been enslaved, and he's got goo all over him.
Right. I believe that came from the third edition Monster Manual.
Okay. So reality. So I just took it farther.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, oh well, what if you've been enslaved for a very long time?
Yeah.
Right. And so the idea that you're basically the only thing left in him is the bones underneath. The goo is taken over. He's become flesh-like. He can breathe underwater. So he's got gills. He's got the 3 aboleth eyes on his head now. So it was taking the original concept and pushing it to its kind of end result. And I did do a couple versions of this guy. One of them was like he actually had human legs and squid arms, and we played around with it. But this worked best and looked like something that could live underwater and at the same time, kind of crawl up on your boat and be disturbing.
That's satisfyingly horrible.
Good.
Yeah. So yeah, they barely. I'm looking at the final description in the Ghosts of Saltmarsh. But
What's it say? A lot of times they do change after I touch it, so I am curious.
Several poor souls around the styes have succumbed to the aboleth's magic through its disease-bearing touch. Transformed into creatures called scum, they barely resemble their past forms, their skin turning slimy and translucent, while their limbs warped to resemble those of deep-sea oddities.
Yep.
Change makes them dependent on water. They must immerse themselves regularly, lest they get skin eruptions. They are bound to their aboleth masters. So yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and that's the thing is that's one scum, and there could be scums where they have a fish butt or or whatever. It doesn't have to be that according to the description. So DMs, do as you like.
So we had and Kate, you informed me of this earlier. We had a few pieces from Joachim Barham. That Pelham had the aboleth attack up there.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us about Joachim's work?
So these were pieces that were originally in the styes, the original publication in Dragon Magazine?
Dungeon Magazine.
Dungeon Magazine. And I really liked the pieces that he did for this adventure, and so I talked to Mike and I was like, well, what do you think if we'll have a new opening illustration, because each one has a full page opening illustration to kind of set it apart and within the book. But for the rest of the art, I really wanted to use Joachim's pieces. The baby kraken was one of my favorite pieces, and Mr. Dory is so gross. I was like, I don't want people to compare what I do to what was already done. So, there's Mr. Kraken.
There's Baby Kraken.
Baby Kraken. So, so we kept his art for this section of the book.
A quick shout out to Mark Price. In the next issue of Dragon Plus, is going to be doing a piece of fiction related to Ghosts of Saltmarsh that involves Baby Kraken.
Cool.
Awesome. That's great.
Perfect.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He's been writing a couple of pieces of fiction for the magazine for a while now. He's got his screenwriting background, and so it translates well into stories. So that was a couple of Joachim's pieces. In the Styes Adventure, Aboleth Attack. There's Fight on the Crane, and then the guy with the mysterious lantern as well.
Oh yeah, that guy. That guy.
I wanted to take, since we've got an opportunity, And one of the reasons I like being able to talk through it here and in Dragon Plus in the magazine is folks that pick up the book get to see the finished pieces. They don't always get to see the sketches or the concepting that goes into the finished pieces, so we can kind of show them off now. We saw the Lokitha, but we've also got the Kolinth was the,
Yep.
there we go, the aquatic hobgoblins with their it says their brightly colored faces and their functional gills.
Yes. So there wasn't a lot to go with as far as, aquatic hobgoblins. And I really think the original ones were very, pretty close to just aquatic hobgoblins and gills. So we played around with it, kind of gave them that chunky scale stuff. And originally, like the one on the bottom left, that was kind of the first take of what they could look like, and still just keeping those hobgoblin notes to it. And then we felt that it wasn't quite enough, and so the idea of them like using coral or poisonous coral or anemones or shells or something as like living armor that grows on them, or something that they could attach on them, was sort of the next step on that.
Coral sucks. If you've ever stepped on coral,
It does suck.
it takes a long time to heal.
Yep.
From the coral.
It's all
ring.
jagged.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
So the nice thing about these is in 5th edition we redesigned the goblinoid family, and so Sean was able to take notes from that and bring it in to this sea hobgoblin.
So there's your Kolinth, and I think we've got one more that we have a sketch for. We did the Scum, the Kolinth. We've got the Drowned Assassin as well. So this was.
Oh yeah. Just a zombie covered in barnacles.
Yeah, and that was the original name. I was also poking through the art database.
called the
Sometimes
Drowned
the
one or something,
names
right?
changed. It was the Drowned Zombie, I think.
Yeah, the drowned ones are. Yeah, there was something much more classical that just was like people taking the sea. They probably changed it for the final.
He stalks and kills in a grim pantomime of its former occupation. And I like that he has a.
Really?
So yeah, again, that's what
Who
just
wrote that?
it's off the top of my head. No, it's a text from the book. The drowned assassin stalks and kills in a grim pantomime of his former occupation, sneaking from shadow to shadow. It's from Tamrat's Fate. It's got this is barnacle encrusted and behind a simple driftwood mask. His face causes terror in mortal hearts when exposed.
Kind of missed the mask part, didn't we?
Oh no, I think he's still got a little bit of a driftwood mask in there as well.
Sean's like, no, that's just his face. He's just got an ugly
Sometimes
face.
things change after you hand over the art. Can't control writers, people. You just can't control them.
You can't control artists either.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. I do exactly what you say every time.
No, you do.
The eternal struggle.
You're awesome.
So, I without I don't know, revealing or spoiling anything, is there opportunity where you're just able to sort of concept for concept's sake, or is it always, hey, we're looking far afield, and here are some general parameters for things we'd like you to work on, or sort of how much leeway do you have for?
Depends on the product, and it depends on what we're working on. So, a lot of times when we decide that we're going to start a new story adventure, so. It's a good example, like Waterdeep, or like Tomb of Annihilation, or those. We'll have writing and creative meetings where Chris Perkins and maybe a guest writer, and then me and the other writers will sit down and we just kind of blue sky ideas for that book. And while we're doing that, I'm doing concepting stuff, and so that is really free as long as it feeds up to it. So. Sometimes that early, the art can sometimes inform the writing, and it goes a lot back and forth. As the book moves forward in production, we move forward on the story. There'll be more task-driven type stuff. So it's like, okay, we need, here's a list of all these creatures that we need concepted, or places, or people, and yeah, so it becomes more prescribed. But that's pretty much the process for most anything that requires a concept artist. Like, it starts out real free, and then you gotta tighten the nuts and bolts.
And then by the time I'm commissioning art in the book, Sean has a really good handle on what, like for the coal length, it showed up in another illustration. So that had, the pin was stuck in that one. It's done. That's what it looks like. I'm sending that as a reference to other artists now, so that things stay unified.
Yep.
Just to kind of showcase a few more of, I guess, sketches to final, because we have them and we want to show them off. We've got, I think Sam Kaiser has a nice piece for the giant octopus. If we can put that up as well.
Oh, this
There
one
we
was
go.
kind of funny.
So again, various angles, various takes.
Various angles, but then sometimes you pick a direction, and then as the image tightens up a little bit, you start to notice things like maybe weird tangents or whatever. So in this case, we went with the second one, version 2, the one in the middle. But then as we were tightening it up, that tentacle that was on the lady started looking weird. And so Sam got to go back in and kind of make sure that it definitely looked like a tentacle from outside, not something coming from her, or that she was being spanked or anything. Like all kinds of weird things come up. And then once somebody says it when they're looking at the art, then you can't unsee it. And so you assume other people out in the wild will see such a thing too. And so there's little bits of tweaking that happen. Yeah, tentacles. Tentacles are hard to know what's going to happen with those.
They're a weird looking thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so he just wrapped it around her leg, so it was just definitely more
PG.
Yeah. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, not a lot of creatures in nature have those weird suckered tentacles.
Oh, I don't know. There's a lot.
You got your octopus, you got your squid.
There's lots of different kinds of those.
No, that's true. Cuttlefish, all that fun stuff. Do we have one for the sea cave as well, or did I just pull the finished piece for that?
Just the finished.
Oh, I just pulled the yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I pulled a couple more pieces. This one come in from Evan Emondson.
Yeah. Amundsen?
Amundsen. So again, I was just curious when this one actually had, hey, we want a male dwarf wizard, a female elven rogue. This wasn't just adventures. It was, here are the adventures
Right.
that we would like to include
Yep,
in this
and
composition
little dragonborn.
piece.
Yeah. This was the first book that I had worked with Evan on, and he did a great job.
Are you ever tempted to put in your own personal characters or animal
No.
companions into the art descriptions?
Oh,
of pieces?
animals, yes. Animals, yes, for sure. But
A lot of my work has animals in it. Whenever I can sneak an animal in, I'll put it in there.
yeah.
But not your own pets or animals.
I did a version of my own cat for a creature that got cut from a book.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the,
Can't
not
tell
like
you.
a, okay.
We might use it someday.
Yeah.
All right. But
Still
not a
happen.
tabaxi, obviously, or because it
No.
was cut.
Nope.
Okay.
Although you did concept the tabaxis too.
Yeah, I did do the tabaxis and the book illustration of that one.
And you would think that some of your koi would show up here in the Saltmarsh stuff, but
It was before, I think it was before I had
pre-koi.
pre-koi pond.
The DMs Guild just dropped a new PDF for the College of Caterwauling, which is all bardic cats using their caterwauling for different effects.
That's super smart.
The dog episode that I want to do, it made me think, like, we'll have to do something for cats as well. Although you can't really bring a cat into the office as easily as you can a dog. Maybe.
You can, it's
Kittens,
just not
though.
going to go well.
We could do something where we have a bunch of kittens that are up for adoption,
Ooh.
and then people.
I don't know.
Is that a bad thing? People
Well,
adopt them. I mean, it's a good thing if they adopt them, but
we have a raffle. We can always. No, I don't know that that'll. I don't think that'll work too well with our legal team here.
Yeah.
This was the one I wanted to pull up just for the art description. We showed the throne room, but also a really beautiful piece is the altar of Sikola from Mark Beam. And I loved it just because in the art description, it talks about the underwater scene, stone altar whose panel contains a dozen shark eyes of various sizes. You've got your priestess, but then it also has a rather lengthy description of the Sahuagin tadpole that she's holding in her hand. It doesn't just say a Sahuagin tadpole. It goes on to describe it. It's more fish-like. Its arms and legs are underdeveloped, forcing it to swim using its body and tail. It's smaller and weaker looking, lacking the bulk and strength of the adult form. And then there's more that doesn't even appear. As it ages, its arms and legs grow stronger, and it can eventually walk on land. It should be shark-like, still looks dangerous and predatory despite being young. Not exactly cutesy. So was there a reason for sort of elaborating on certain details, or is it just because, hey, this is a new thing, we really want to emphasize what it is we're asking you to depict?
So this was a monster that we hadn't shown before. We knew it needed to look like the Sahuagin that we've already developed in 5th edition. But it needed to be different than that too. So that's why the story of the monster is included in there. Anything that the artist can pull from that, they're welcome to, because in a perfect world, we might have concepted that prior. But sometimes there are other things that take priority, that take more time, that are definitely more different. It's not an extrapolation of something that we already have. It's something more different. And in that case, it has to go through Sean. But this was something that we were like, well, it's kind of same but different, and we can, if given to the right artist, we can give them the freedom and the leeway to kind of come up with that. So Mark did a great job with that.
I was just at the Chicago Shed Aquarium, and I don't think I saw anything depicted in there. There was no two-headed sharks in the Shed Aquarium.
None of these
no
things.
Sahuagin tadpole.
There was seaweed.
Stuff together.
Right. Shelley just passed me the Facebook article of the one shark that ate the other shark in the aquarium because it kept bumping the female shark. I didn't like it.
Did you ever see the video of the giant red octopus that was eating the sharks in the Seattle aquarium?
No.
Yeah.
How did it get into the? Was it already in?
It was in the aquarium,
Yeah.
and there was literally the smaller sharks in the aquarium were disappearing.
Yeah.
And they were like, "What is going on?" And so they put up a video, like a night video, in the Seattle aquarium. So it was a big tank, and it had lots of fish and stuff, and just to capture to see what was going on at night. And sure enough, the giant red octopus, the shark swimming around, just goes and just breaks it.
Cool.
Wow.
Falls to the ground.
These are baby sharks.
No.
What?
Tentacles,
Octopus are
man.
cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to confirm this with Emmy, but in Hawaiian mythology, there's those like periodic world-ending events, and something about the octopus was the only survivor from the last one, and so that's why it's so weird.
Oh, that's cool.
And then it came into
And creepy.
Yeah, it is. They're super awesome, though. Speaking of creepy and awesome, I've got a piece from Eric Belisle, the Perryton, and I think I just chose this because I love goofball monsters, and so this is a depiction of the Perryton in one of the Ghost of Saltmarsh adventures.
What do you think that's goofy?
Well, you know, the medieval bestiaries.
You take this from column A, you take
Right.
this from column B, you take this from column
good
C.
stuff.
The art descriptions come from travelers who may or may not have remembered what they saw or are accurate.
Any time you can put ears on a bird creature is a win. That's like it's concept gold.
Teeth, beak, and claws.
Yeah, that's kind of low hanging fruit, but ears, it's the ears, what makes it awesome.
Yeah, he was a weird one. And then we've got another one from Evan Edmondson. We've got Lobster Fight.
I love this one.
Even though the delicious lobsters are
Oh man, they're so angry in the background. That's so
They're
good.
they're fighting. They're cheering on their winning lobster.
That's a really good picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. It took me a while to because you focus on the lobsters and like the background fades out, and then when you look at it, like, oh my God, this yes,
Fantastic job.
the ring of Sahuagin warriors formed around a ring around the 2 lobsters.
Okay, here's another creepy sea lore.
Yeah.
Rocked lobsters.
Yes.
We don't actually know how old they can actually get.
Are they like giant? They just keep growing and growing and aging and aging.
They keep aging,
Yeah.
and they do keep growing, but
Oh.
they don't actually. So like, human DNA has a very specific amount it can actually split. and
Your
regrow,
cells will
right?
stop regenerating
Right.
after a while.
Lobsters don't.
Ah.
So they could be immortal. We don't know.
You would think there's a sci-fi serum that comes from lobster DNA.
I don't know. They're sure tasty.
Or at least something at Sephora.
Oh.
What?
Just lobster makeup sounds so bad.
Smells fishy.
So we've been looking a lot at the Ghost of Saltmarsh, but we do have the D&D Essentials kit that's coming out as well. Again, June 24th at Target, and then September 3rd everywhere. This box set that Kate Irwin is holding contains the essentials you need to run a D&D game with 1 Dungeon Master and 1 to 5 adventurers. A newly designed rule book onboards players by teaching them how to make characters, and the included adventure, Dragon of Icespire Peak, introduces a new one-on-one rules variant. Did you know all of that?
I think so.
So, as mentioned, Sean, you've got a couple of pieces that
A couple.
worked its way into the Essentials
Well,
kit. As you
like,
crack it open.
so
In here.
no, well, there are some in here, but there are some in here too. So there are. Here, I'll let you do that one. So there's a rule book. That's how would you describe this Essentials kit rule book? Just the stuff you need to play.
Well, it's the Essentials.
Well, there are new illustrations in this book. I don't know, but
Essentials you need to run a D&D game.
Yes, the
That's sort of a
Essentials-
distilled
so-
version of the core rule books into the box set version.
if you're a fan of Richard Witter's sketches, which most people are, or mine, this rulebook is filled with brand new sketches, black and white stuff that me and Richard did. Of course, like this little guy, and some other ones. So if you like that kind of stuff, like the images in the back of the DM's handbook or stuff like that, there's more of that stuff in here, which was fun. Richard and I don't often get to just illustrate a book, so it was fun to do.
And we've got a couple of pieces. We've got the dwarf, we've got the acolyte, and then there we go. So here's a couple of black and white pieces. That,
Yeah, so those appear in the book. If Richard was here, he'd show you his stuff, but he's not. So you have to wait. You have to buy the product to find the good stuff.
I'm saving the best for last.
But yeah, both he and I like to work in black and white. We don't often get to publish it, so it was kind of cool.
Yeah, it's not the normal look of our books. So when we had the opportunity to do this for this specific book, it was a lot of fun.
I remember growing up, I loved the black and white
Right.
because I could,
Yeah.
work on the line drawings.
What?
When I was a kid, I
You
watched.
defaced them?
No. I would redraw them because they had,
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
and
yeah.
I colored
know
them in, so I
exactly what
did.
you're talking
Yeah. You can really see
I
what
did exactly the
what
same
the
thing.
illustration is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
And there's one more character. This was from. So who's this little guy? Who is this guy in the Essentials kit? And then we'll talk about. I'll make a pandering claim for who he is.
It's Quinn Hightopple. There's a little card. Quinn is a happy little scrapper who likes to punch people in the groin. Use the warrior sidekick stat block and the rulebook to represent him.
So is he one of the new sidekicks?
Yes.
He is one of the new sidekicks that you can get in the D&D Essentials kit. And I'm reading his personality. Nice set of teeth you got there. Be a shame if something happened to him. That's a...
So we
It's kinda
went
mean.
straight. We
Yeah,
went
no, trust me.
beyond putting our pets into
Yeah.
the game,
We did-
and
Shameless.
instead,
I know, it's
I should
shameless.
say that it is against Wizards policy to do what's called vanity art.
Well, let's
Or-
call it a homage. So 2 years ago,
Oh,
you were running an Extra Life game, and
I
you
was.
were soliciting donations. You could put a monster in.
Yep.
So I contributed a donation, and I got Quinn the Nut Puncher,
Right.
who may or may not be based on my son at the time.
May or may not be. And it was a kobold covered in.
Feces.
Oh my gosh, he showed up there.
Yeah.
Yes. You've been outed. Yes.
It's because he was a small child, often covered in feces, who would often punch me, of all people, in the nuts, because he was just at that height. So I'm pleased that he's evolved.
He's been moved and canonized. He's no longer. He lost the kobold trait though.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He fits the halfling guy. So yeah, shameless plug. I was saying, do I get designer credit for creating Quinn?
I didn't do it for you. I did it
Real
for
life?
Shelley, and we both know that.
Well, there you have it. We're rolling up towards 2 o'clock. We're getting close to Heroes of the Veil. But again, I appreciate Kate Irwin and Sean Wood spending an hour of your afternoon joining us on the Dragon Plus live stream.
As always, it was fun.
We should do this more often because, yes, I really mean it. I would love to find more opportunity to showcase the concept art, to showcase some of the sketches that goes into the finished pieces. Finished pieces are great, but folks can see them in the actual products. But it's nice to go sort of behind the screen some of the time. So.
Yeah.
As always, thanks everyone for tuning in as well, spending an hour of your day with us. Thanks to our followers, our subscribers. Thanks, of course, to our moderators running 2 raffles today, I believe. Yes, we'll do a surprise D&D grab bag. As threatened or promised, we'll include items from the Wizards of the Coast 3rd floor free table as they're suitable.
If they're not good, we'll find something better.
But look for
Not
those.
like we make cool stuff around here.
There's always, yeah, it's true. There's always cool stuff. I got a drill. I got a working DeWalt drill.
You don't know if it's working yet.
Good point. Excellent
Why don't we
point.
send them this?
Because I don't know. We will. I don't know if we need that exact copy. We also have. Hillary has a. This is the Sinister Silver Edition of Ghosts of Saltmarsh from Beatles and Grimm. We're going to open up these one episode as well.
That's just a tease.
Pick up the whole thing. Just feel the heft of it. It's
my God.
heavy.
So this thing weighs like 15 pounds.
It's a heavy product. So it is jam-packed with extra accessories for your game. Oh, you're
You're
welcome
worse
to-
than
yeah.
Nathan.
I know.
You're welcome to open
Nathan's
it up.
not here. What? It's got like metal stuff in it.
So we'll roll out as we pick through the innards of the Sinister Silver Edition, and folks can switch over to Heroes of the Veil. That's
Nice
what's going on.
card prints
Yes.
of all my artwork.
I pulled yours up on top there. I thought we'd get to it.
I figured they just put it on top because it was awesome. There's better stuff in here.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in.